So it seems like everyone's suddenly talking about cool sculpting. Is it really the miracle solution for those stubborn spots that even diet and exercise can't seem to budge? We're taking a deep dive today, separating the hype from the hard facts to give you the inside scoop.
And it's a question we hear a lot, right? Like, can we really just freeze away fat? Sounds a bit too good to be true.
Right. Almost like something out of a movie. But then there's actual science behind it, which is what makes it so fascinating, I think.
Oh, absolutely. It really comes down to how fat cells react to cold. They're much more sensitive than other cells in your body. And cool sculpting uses that to its advantage, applying very controlled cooling to, well, let's say areas you might want to refine a bit.
Refine, sculpt, contour, it all sounds very high-tech. And speaking of high-tech, did you know this whole thing actually started at Harvard?
It did, yeah. Researchers were studying how cold affects fat cells, and they found that it could actually trigger what's called apoptosis.
Apoptosis. Okay, that sounds a little intense.
It's really just a fancy term for natural cell death. So it's not like it's harming your body or anything drastic. This process happens all the time naturally, just on a very targeted scale with cool sculpting.
Okay, so for those of us who aren't scientists, break it down for us.
So-
What does this actually look and feel like?
All right, so imagine you're lying there comfortably and the technician places this applicator on, say, your stomach, wherever you want the treatment. You'll feel this kind of gentle suction, almost like a vacuum, as it pulls the skin and the fat up into the applicator. Then the cooling starts. You feel a cooling sensation, maybe a little tingling, some pressure, but it's generally pretty well tolerated.
And that's where the magic, or should I say the science, happens.
Exactly. Those fat cells are exposed to this controlled temperature for a specific time, which then triggers that apoptosis, the natural cell death we talked about. But here's the thing. It's a gradual process. We're not talking about instant fat melting away.
So it's more like slow and steady wins a race.
That's a great way to put it. It takes time for your body to naturally process those treated cells and to flush them out.
And that's something people need to be aware of, right? This isn't a quick fix for weight loss. I think there's a misconception out there about that.
Definitely. Cool sculpting is about body contouring. You're already doing the work with diet and exercise, but there are those stubborn areas, that's where cool sculpting can step in.
So it's less about fitting into a smaller size and more about feeling more confident in the size you already are.
Exactly. Refining your shape, addressing those specific problem areas, and ultimately just feeling more comfortable in your own skin.
Which, let's be honest, is a goal for a lot of us. Now, when we talk about those stubborn areas, are we just talking about abs or...
Oh, no, not at all. It's often those areas that are really hard to target with diet and exercise that people turn to cool sculpting for. Love handles, bra fat, inner and outer thighs, even double chins.
I see those areas all the time in those before and after photos. Speaking of, are those transformations the real deal? What can someone realistically expect?
There's that key word, realistically. You will see a difference. Those fat cells are literally being eliminated. But it is gradual. We're talking a time frame of a few weeks, maybe even a few months, to really see the full effect.
No overnight miracles then. It's a journey, right?
Exactly. And going into it with realistic expectations is super important.
Which I think leads us perfectly to another aspect, the commitment. And I don't just mean in terms of time, but cost as well.
Right. Definitely something to consider. It is an investment, both time and money. Let's be upfront about that.
And those sleek, cool sculpting clinics we see popping up don't exactly scream budget-friendly. So realistically, what are we talking about cost-wise?
Yeah, well, and this is important for people to know. It can vary a lot. It's not like a one-price-fits-all kind of thing. Like in Mumbai, for example, you could be looking at anywhere from INR 20,000 to, even upwards of INR 50,000 per session.
Okay, wow. That is a range.
Yeah.
What accounts for those differences in cost?
It's a few things, actually. The size of the area being treated is a big one. Treating love handles is going to be different from, say, a double chin, right? And then, of course, the number of sessions someone needs. Some people might be good after just one, while others, depending on their goals, might need a couple more, to really achieve what they're looking for.
So it's personalized, basically.
Exactly, yeah. And that's why that initial consultation is so important. It's not just about whether cool sculpting is right for you, but what a realistic treatment plan and the cost that goes with it looks like for you.
Okay, so let's say someone's listening to this and thinking, okay, this sounds interesting, but is it right for me? What actually makes someone a good candidate?
Well, it's definitely not for everyone. I'll say that right off the bat. The ideal candidate is someone who's already fairly close to their goal weight. They're living a healthy lifestyle, diet and exercise and all that, but they've got those stubborn pockets of fat that just won't budge no matter what they do.
Those pesky little areas we keep talking about.
Exactly. And this is key, too. They go into it with realistic expectations about what CoolSculpting can achieve. We're talking about contouring, refining, not a quick fix if someone's significantly overweight. You know what I mean?
It's like taking someone who's already putting in the work and just giving them that extra edge.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. And of course, there are medical factors to consider, too. A pregnant woman, for example, wouldn't be a good candidate. Or someone with certain medical conditions.
Right. Makes sense. This is a medical procedure, after all, even if it is non-invasive. Speaking of which, let's walk through what that actually looks like. You've had your consultation, you're deemed a good candidate, you're ready to take the plunge. What can you expect when you go in for a CoolSculpting session?
So it all starts with that personalized plan we talked about, right? During your consultation, they'll have assessed you, your areas of concern, your goals, and kind of mapped out how to approach the treatment.
So it's not like a one-size-fits-all, everybody gets the same treatment kind of deal.
No, not at all. This is all tailored to you. So on the day of, they'll usually, mark the areas that'll be treated just to make sure everything's precise. You'll get comfortable. And then they apply this gel pad and applicator to that area.
This is that high-tech vacuum thing we were talking about.
That's the one. And that's what delivers that controlled cooling. You're going to feel a cooling sensation, of course. Maybe some slight pressure or tingling in the beginning, but that usually subsides as the area numbs a bit.
So not painful, really.
Most people tolerate it very well. And the beauty of it, no downtime afterward. You literally walk out of your appointment and go about your day.
Okay, now that is a big plus. No need to, clear your schedule or anything for recovery.
It's not at all.
Oh.
Now, that being said, with any procedure, there are potential side effects to be aware of.
Right, let's talk about those. What can someone expect in the days following a CoolSculpting session? So, we're prepped for the procedure, sailed through the treatment itself. Are we home free, or are there things to watch out for afterward?
Well, the good news is most people sail through the after effects, too. You might see a little redness, maybe some swelling, maybe a little bruising, some tenderness in that area.
Makes sense, right? Your body's reacting to the whole, freezing thing.
It's just your body doing its thing. And honestly, for most people, it really is pretty mild. And the even better news, usually disappears completely on its own within a few days, maybe a couple of weeks, tops.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Assuring, gradual process, remember, both during and after.
Right. Gradual. We've said it 100 times today, but clearly important.
Definitely.
And I guess that applies to seeing the final results, too.
It does, yeah. Your body needs that time to process those treated fat cells naturally, You might start noticing some changes within a few weeks, but the real, wow results, that usually takes about 12 weeks or so.
So patience is key here. But let's say you've hit that point. You're seeing those results. How do you keep them? Is this like a one-and-done situation, or is there more to it?
It's a great question, and it kind of brings us back to that word holistic. Right? CoolSculpting can be amazing, but it's not magic, right? It's not going to undo an unhealthy lifestyle.
Right. It's like investing in some amazing new workout gear and then never going to the gym.
Exactly. To really make those results last, you've got to keep up your end of the bargain. Balanced diet, regular exercise, taking care of yourself, all that good stuff.
Supporting the work that CoolSculpting has started.
Exactly. And honestly, I think this is important for body image in general, right? True confidence. It has to come from a place of self-acceptance and well-being.
How you feel, not just how you look. It's a good reminder for all of us. So we've covered a lot of ground today on CoolSculpting, unpacked the science, talked about what the procedure actually involves, got real about those expectations, and emphasized that holistic approach, which is so key.
Yeah.
Any final words of wisdom you want to leave our listeners with?
If I could stress just one thing, it would be this. CoolSculpting can be truly effective, but you have to go into it with open eyes, understand what it can and can't do your research, choose a provider who knows their stuff, who has experience, and make sure it really fits into your overall health and wellness goals.
Words to live by. I think we've all definitely leveled up our CoolSculpting knowledge today. As you continue your own deep dive, here's something to chew on. Even if we can freeze away fat, maybe we should also explore why those areas might make us feel insecure in the first place.
Well, that's a great point.
Until next time, everyone, keep those minds curious.